Welcome. This is an introduction from me to you so that you'll understand a little bit about how I got here, what I'm doing, what my story is, and why I'm doing what I'm doing. First thing, we all have strengths and weaknesses. All of us, including me, are probably not real comfortable exposing themselves. And you're going to see in just a minute, I'm going to share a history. I'm not like a lot of people. There was not a single event that turned me around in life to point me in the direction I'm going right now. It was a multitude of events. I've obviously got a little age on me, a little experience, and I'm probably a slow learner. Hence, I'm using old school. I'm using a flip chart because I can't remember everything I need to say, so I'm using this to help me. But hang on, if you want polish, go somewhere else. You're not going to get it here. If you want real, this is me. This is what you get. So here we go. The boring part, the more traditional part, is the professional experience. Why am I in the change? Why am I interested in helping people make changes? Well, I spent my whole career doing it, whether it's in the personal, organizational, behavioral, corporate, in a number of different settings, government, academia, corporate, private sector, in a number of different positions as a counselor, consultant, coach, facilitator, trainer, administrator, whatever. You can read this. But that's the boring part. How I got here really is a story of my personal life. And it started several years ago when I was asked to help make some decisions on a friend of mine that I'd grown up with. His name is Rusty. And he had contracted a disease. They never figured out what it was. It went undiagnosed. But he did not want to live unnaturally with tubes. And I was called in due to family dynamics. He and I literally grew up together from age 1 to 2 on up. And I was called to help with this family, who is like my second family, in making a decision to unhook the tubes with him. That got me thinking, was a wake-up call to what is life all about. Well, I kind of parked that a little bit for several years and then went through a divorce of my own. Had a healthy marriage. I made some bad decisions and we ended up divorcing. Luckily, being a counselor and my former wife being used to that, we went through what they call uncoupling, separation counseling, and ended up being good friends and kind of broke the rules as to what divorce is supposed to look like. Along the way, I built up my consulting business. I had a goal of, I wanted to get to at least a 6-figure income, and I built it up to a very successful consulting business. Then, as things continued on, we rebuilt our relationship. As I said, we broke the rules. We did it differently, and people began to look at us and said, I don't know how you're doing it, but this is kind of cool. We became good friends, started rebuilding and enjoying each other. In the same time, I started volunteering more with my church, got more involved in my church, started off by leading a single program, co-leading a divorce care program for people that were coming out of divorce. We added several other programs, Grief Share and some other things to it, and became a ministry, which was a formal process that was kind of cool and not an easy way to go. My bottom line is we became the benchmark ministry of half of the state of North Carolina where I live. We took on a project we had no idea what we were doing and ended up, after several years, serving 1,200 meals at multitudes. I think there were like 5 sites, and we had spin-offs in other areas of the state. A very successful community event. Then my business dried up. The economy, I'm not a good marketer. For whatever reason, it dried up. And I learned a significant lesson. I'd always wondered if I'm a survivor. And I learned, yes, I am. I went from 6-figure income to what I call a Band-Aid job. Started off at $11 an hour punching a clock. I had not punched a clock since college. And talk about humbling. Luckily, I moved up, got my own office, and was making a whole $18.50 an hour after 2 or 3 years there. So it was a whole different world, still punching a clock, still very humbling as to what I had been doing before, charging, what was it? I think it was the $250 per hour down to $18.50 an hour or something like that. A big change. So, but I learned that I could survive. And then along came an ugly disease called ALS. My former wife got ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. As you know, there is no cure for ALS. It progressed. It took my total attention for 2 years, watching her as she totally lost the use of her body and ended up passing away. I had begun to start to think about rebuilding myself prior to that, and that took me off kilter. And then after that, it took me probably 2 years to recover and decide, okay, I need to start living my life and rebuilding my own life. So, where did that take me? The next step, after dealing with grief and recovery, is I got fired. Not really fired for doing anything wrong. It was corporate downsizing. But if you aren't humble enough by doing a per-hour job, try getting escorted off of your place of work because your position is no longer there and you don't have a job. So I was at the bottom of the barrel, rock bottom. I had no income. Basically was pretty alone because the person I loved most was gone, and I had to figure out which way I was going. I'm a firm believer that you make your own luck, and I took a hard look at myself and said, whatever luck I'm making, it ain't good, and I better make some changes. And I'm thinking God's smacking me on the head with a 2x4 to get me moving to what direction I need to move in, whatever that was. And that direction was looking at a combination of taking my whole career and helping others with my personal events to reinvent themselves, which is exactly what I had done. Totally reinvented myself, found my purpose, which is only the second or third time I've been that driven in life, where I was like hitting home runs and yes, life is good again. So it was a wake-up call. It was a light turning on. Is that kind of cool? Did you see that? I turned on the light. Okay, I'm hokey, I'm corny, but that's what this is about. Life turning on, moving towards your purpose, and that's where I was going, am going. And I hope that I'm just an average guy. There's a lot of you out there that are just like me, that is settled, have parked your dreams, or maybe events have come along, you've healed from that, and you wonder what's the next step. Now, maybe you've got my story. You can understand that at any age, we can make a difference. We can turn our lives and move into a new phase very successfully. I'm a believer. I did it myself. It's fun. It's exciting. And I hope you'll join me and enjoy the journey and have fun in the process and get ready for a long ride. Thanks. We enjoy it. We have fun. And I hope to see you later.